Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Wealthy SAP Consultant podcast. I have my new best friend here, Richard Seller, with me. And you guys know, as I always tell you, that we always have these pre conversations that are so much fun because I feel like we get to know one another. And then there's a little bit of like, oh, yeah, that's right. We have to dive into the episode. So, really like strap yourselves in, people, and get ready because Richard's going to bring just an incredible, already in having a conversation with him, just his perspective on what's going on in the market, what he's doing in his business right now. It's gonna be amazing, and you're gonna be so really we're gonna break some limiting beliefs off you today, and you're just gonna be set free by listening to this conversation. So, Richard, take it away. Maybe introduce yourself a little bit to the audience, and then we'll just dive right in.
Yes, thank you, Anita. It's great to be here today. Thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation and looking forward to talking about some things that maybe you don't get to talk about very often. So,
Yeah.
yes. So, where did I start? My background started in the ERP world in 1997, doing JD Edwards and Oracle consulting. Been around the big ERP space, been around the little ERP space, became a Sage reseller in the early 2000s. Um, Took a hiatus from the ERP consulting world for a while, but not ERP. Worked for SpaceX for 4 years in the 2008 to 2012 and was responsible for architecting the ERP system that we developed in-house to run SpaceX, and then got out of ERP for about a year and a half, and then in 2014 got sucked into the SAP Business One world and was in there, in the SAP reseller channel for 10 years, and then last year, um, exited the SAP channel, and I'm now fully engaged in the Acumatica world, so very excited about where we are today.
I love how you describe it. Like, I got sucked in, and then now I'm out.
Well, so it's interesting because got into the SAP world because my wife was actually an independent consultant in the SAP channel, Business One channel, and so, she pulled me out of my management consulting gig. It was supposed to be a 6-month engagement to just help her put some structure in place, hire a couple of people, and then go away, and 10 years later, I was still there and she was retired, so something went wrong along the way somewhere.
Sneaky or genius. That's awesome. Well, okay, so Richard, I wanna kinda, like, dive right on. Like, talk to me about what's going on in your business. How do you do things a little bit differently? And let's kind of explore that with the audience a little bit right now.
Yeah, I think everything starts with what we guarantee to our prospects and customers, and it flows from there, so there are things that we are very passionate about that we think customers should have. So, in our minds, those are, uh your implementation or your ERP costs shouldn't go up every year. So we have a 5-year price lock on the ERP subscription.
Yeah.
Uh, you should be able to cancel your subscription at any time. So not only do we not do long-term contracts, we share the risk with the contract on the customer. So we could theoretically be in month 13 of a contract. Well, month 13 with a customer. So month one of their second year contract, and they could cancel. And that's okay, right? It's on us to make sure that they're receiving the value they need to receive in order to continue on with the solution. So we're very focused on making sure that we have long-term customer engagement.
Mhm.
Um, we give pricing upfront on our website, to the dollar before we start an implementation. In fact, the pricing is just for the post-implementation experience because we don't believe people should have to pay for implementation.
Oh,
And there's a lot that goes into that, and we are 100% subscription. We do not roll the implementation price into the future subscription. It's just absolutely 100% risk-free, no cost.
wow.
So those are some of the big things. There's a lot more that goes
Yeah,
into this, but,
of course.
um, and of course, you're probably sitting here saying, A, how do you make money? And B, how do you provide value, right? Right, very, very different. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, let's start with the value one, because what I hear when you're describing this, Richard, I hear incredible. I'm gonna use in language, kind of more marketing language that I'm familiar with, but I hear your focus on customers, and I hear under like an undercurrent of you're focused on the results that you can get for somebody else, and then when they're successful, you're successful. So those are the things that I'm extracting, but I'd love to hear from your words, like, how did you come up with this? And yes, how like talk to me about the value that you bring the customers.
Yeah, it all really starts with what is your business model? And our business model is to be a software as a service subscription company. And if you're going to do that and go all in, then there are some things that fall out of that naturally.
Mm,
One is that your success as a company is predicated on keeping customers for the long haul.
mm.
So if your business model is, oh, I'm going to sell as many net new as I can and keep what I can, and whatever happens, happens, you're in the wrong place,
Yeah.
right? That's just not going to work long term. There has to be this focus on long term customer, not just success, but really helping them grow and make
Mm,
their businesses better.
yeah.
And so in my mind, I'm always trying to put my money where my mouth is and show that we're committed to this journey as well. So what we do to do that is really the couple of things. We don't charge for that upfront implementation, which is there's a lot of that goes into that. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's really that post implementation subscription and canceling any time that are huge levers for the customer because that subscription is all encompassing with the exception of customization. We don't do customization under that, but anything else you need, like I'm bringing on a new division. We need to roll out a new division in the software, or we need to, um, we're going to implement pricing by warehouse or whatever it is, costing by warehouse. Those things are all included. It's not just the everyday questions or training. It's adding new modules, or I need to do intercompany. Now, you would pay for the capability in the software if you don't already have that.
Right.
That goes without saying, but the effort to do that is included in that subscription.
Mm.
And so there's a lot of value for the customers that engage with us and stay close to us long term because our knowledge is theirs to use in really an unlimited, uncapped way.
I'm getting a picture in my mind, Richard, of so many projects that we've all been on and so many consultants that we've talked to, and for me, so many channel partners I've talked to, so many customers in whether it was the Sage world, because I used to be in the Sage world as well, or SAP world, or any other product that's out there. So often what, this is what I hear a lot from customers. Consultants, because the practice manager lead at the channel partner says, "Bill as much as you can." I'm being dramatic. I'm nobody act I don't know if anybody says that or not, but I know I'm being dramatic. And then the customer's viewpoint is like, "Save as much money as you can." But
Right.
so what I drew is a little picture in my notebook, so we talk about it is like we don't really understand. So a lot of people don't understand that what it does is it puts us like diametrically opposed to our customers, our end customers, that at the end of the day, when I talk to my clients that are in escalation, I'm like, look, I'm here for you so that we can get through this, get you live, and double your revenue in the next 2 to 5 years. I just told the president, we just finished $100 million project. The company is $100 million, and it was a multi-million-dollar project. And one of the things, and I'm friends with the president now, and I said, if it takes you 5 years to double your revenue, then that's on you. Like, you're ready to do it in 2, right? But see
Right.
how, like, that language that you're using, that I'm using, that we're talking about here, and that we wanna cultivate on the show is, how do we focus on helping someone else, and in that, then actually the whole I don't know about you, Richard, but I've noticed my entire business has changed. When I shifted my viewpoint to focus on how I can serve other people, and having that at the core of who I am and what our team does and what our business stands for, it radically shifted everything. It shifted our revenue, significantly higher because we were also able to be, more discerning. I say this on the show all the time. I get pinged all the time, "Anita, you wanna come work on this $65 an hour project?" And I was like, no. You like, I don't there's no you I this is what goes on in my mind. I'm like, "You must not really understand the value that I bring to a project if you're asking me to do a $65 an hour thing, because that's not where I play." Like, I'm not knocking that space. There's tons of consultants all around the world who can do a great job in there, but my knowledge is so specialized and so unique, and the outcomes that I can get for my clients that are in the middle of multi-million-dollar headaches, they're, like, crying out, I don't know, they're crying out to the Lord, "Somebody help me," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm your girl," right? I hear that, I hear that, actually, I really love that, Richard, because I hear that undercurrent, Maybe you would put it in different words, and that's totally fine, but I hear that undercurrent when you're talking, and I think that's so special. So, how does that reflect in what you're doing in your business, both on a personal level and your team, but also financially?
Well, it's interesting because the second we stop worrying about the revenue and just start worrying about solving problems and being there for the customers, the whole dynamic changes.
Mhm.
Customers, not only do they reach out, they take our calls when we call. It's not a struggle to get
Yeah,
somebody on the line because they're used to somebody calling, oh, they're just going to sell me something. They've got some promotion or discount they want to send my way.
yeah,
That's not it at all because you're paying the same whether you use us or not. Use us. We're here to help you. So if we're calling you, it's a positive thing. It's not a, oh gosh, should I answer this or let it go to voicemail type of call.
yeah,
So it's a very different dynamic, and it allows us to really unlock different conversations as well because our goal is coupled with the, you can cancel at any time. We've always got to be providing the best solution that's in the customer's best interest, not ours, because they know how to do their research and they can get information outside of us very easily and quickly these days.
yeah.
We've got to give them good, unbiased, solid solutions to their problems
Mm.
and not just keep trying to milk the relationship for more money. But the upshot of that too is we get these relationships where people see the value in it and don't really entertain going somewhere else because they understand what they've got.
Yeah.
They've been through the ringer on these, I made a 15-minute phone call. I made a phone call that should have taken 5 minutes, but I get billed for 15 minutes,
Oh, yeah.
right? How much that 15 minutes that we spent answering a simple question, w if we're charging by the hour, we value that the same as spending 15 minutes thinking about a complex solution to a difficult business problem. Why?
Right.
Those are not the same value in the customer's eyes.
It's not at all, and it doesn't suit and the bigger the project, like, I'll get into some bigger SAP projects, and you don't just have 1 consultant sitting on the call with you for 15 minutes, you have 6 or 20 or whatever, and so
Yes.
the CFO is like, "Anita, what is happening?"
Yeah.
This
They
guy
see the taxi meter going.
I've had this conversation with so many clients where they're like, "Okay, I sat on the call with" I'm gonna be dramatic, as these 20 people.
Mhm.
That happens, and, like, 1 or 2 of them answered my question, but I got billed for all 20 people to be on the call, and it's like, "No, no, 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 that's like you should not be doing that." But to your point, if it takes me like, why I love how maybe we could break this down a little bit more. Um, you said something very interesting is that when we're in that trap of kinda, like, trading all of our time for a dollar, and then you're evaluating everything, like, in these 15-minute increments and all that kinda stuff, like, that we're actually doing that to ourselves. We're creating an environment for ourselves that, again, puts us diametrically opposed to our
Mhm.
clients because in that scenario, every single time, what if I need what's why would my client care if it takes me 10 minutes or 10 hours to solve their problem as long as I solve their problem and now they're able to get their production line back up and running, solve some accounting problem, whatever it is in the business that they need to be able to solve at that point in time, they don't care.
Right.
They literally do not care how long it takes me. If they do, perhaps at least for me, they're not the best fit of a customer for me. But
Right.
and that's okay, right? Again, I go back to what I said earlier. Like, great, go have somebody else serve you. Fabulous.
Yes.
But maybe can you dig into that a little bit deeper? Of like, um, yeah, do you see where I'm going with that? Of kind,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
stop
So
there because I know you have more to say about it.
I have a lot. Yeah. When we start bucketing things that way and thinking of value in terms of our capacity, there are two things that happen. A lot of times, especially in the small things, we tend to charge too much and not be as good a value to the customer because they're just seeing this, oh, I had a simple question. It's not $100 question, it's a $2 question.
Yeah,
But the other thing that happens is we undervalue ourselves on the bigger efforts.
yeah,
Oh, this is going to take me 20 hours. I'm going to get paid my however many dollars for that 20 hours. But this may be a solution that saves thousands or millions of dollars for that customer. Shouldn't we get compensated based on that as well? Like, it's mutually beneficial to us to solve this together and provide this tremendous value, but we've just undervalued ourselves by only charging some fixed amount of time based on our capacity.
Yeah. You know what else, Richard, is what is running through my mind? I'm picturing people that I've consultants and customers that I work with that when we get ourselves so when we're in this model that you just described, the mental health struggles
Yeah.
that are very, very real, right? The consultants that are working at channel partners that are billing, let's just pretend, and I'm gonna be very generous here and say they're billing 40 hours a week and then working their normal job on top of that, right? I had done that. Being in the corporate
Yeah.
space, I totally did that. And then the customer, same thing. We're asking them to implement a solution. So we're asking them to do their this is what like in a real simplified format, we're asking somebody to do their normal job and then do an ERP implementation on top of that, like the
Yes.
likes of Sage or Acumatica or Oracle or SAP or JD, any of those big ones that take so much time. And so then the really genuinely like the emotional health that breaks down during those projects, the physical health that breaks down during those projects, like it's really kind of a thing when you watch and it's really sad to me because I'm watching friends of mine that are going through this year after year after year after year but not really recognizing the toll that it's taking on their own health. And can you speak to that? I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I
Yeah.
don't know if you could speak to that at all. Have you seen that to be the case? And maybe the flip side is what do you guys see in your organization?
Yes, absolutely. Well, there are definitely two pieces to it. The customer side is dragging them on this baton death march of screens and fields and decisions that by and large have a negligible impact on the outcome of the implementation. Like, people go into an implementation not to go configure all these AP screens, they go in to solve some big business challenges.
Yeah.
And that gets so lost in the weeds. And yet, what consultants are really good at is, oh, let me walk you through this and let's make a decision about terms codes and all these little things that don't change the eventual outcome.
Mm.
We're talking about ERP systems. 80 to 90% of what's in there is commodity stuff,
Yeah.
right? The company's differentiator isn't in how they do AP or AR or even inventory management most of the time. There
Mhm.
may be some innovations on the manufacturing side that we need to capture,
Sure.
but for the most part, we're dealing with a transactional system that's trying to capture the data that's going through the organization the right way. And we way overcomplicate that process and drag these implementations out. And it's not one person's fault. The responsibility for this rests on the customers as much as the consultants.
Yeah.
But what ends up happening is you get to the end of the implementation, business has changed, or the people in the project have changed. So opinions have changed. And even if you've got a relatively stable team, by the time you go live, it's still not going to, until you're in the system doing things every day,
Yeah.
you're not going to know it's not working exactly. So why do we spend so much time and money and effort trying to make something perfect that A is a commodity and B is not going to be perfect no matter what we do?
Yeah.
So and I go back to when I was a consultant for many years, and we always said, "Oh, we'll do these great high value things in phase 2 and phase 3." And in the early days, those didn't happen because getting live took so long and cost so much money that people said, "We're done spending money. We're not touching this for 2 years."
Yeah.
But the real value really was those future phases.
Mhm.
So get to that future phase quickly, and and it does a couple of things. A, that's where the real business problems are solved. Once people are in the system, they've been in it for 3 months, they've done a few month-end closes, they've, shipped product, they get it. Okay, now let's go make the adjustments we need to run more effectively.
Yeah.
But the other side of that too is that's where you really have the opportunity as a consultant to shine because you're solving the more complex problems there. Implementation, how many implementations have you been through? How many times have you done this? How many times have you done a session on navigation for a customer?
Yeah.
Ah, pull my hair out. Why do we keep charging for this? Why do we keep doing this over and over again?
Yeah.
Get that off of your plates, get that out of everybody's heads and get to the point where they're using the system and then start deriving the value because especially I have friends that are independent consultants, my wife started that way, as I mentioned, like
Yeah.
they are extremely successful because they're great at that post-implementation work. Get there quickly. And that should be everybody's focus is that long-term relationship. Implementation is a barrier to that long-term relationship.
Mm. You know, it makes me think of so many times in an ERP implementation, in our customer's mind, especially when we sit down, we're like, okay, we're gonna sit in a boardroom and like blueprint everything out.
Yes.
Oh, really? All we're doing is we're asking them to replicate their old system.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just gonna be super simple about it, and so where's
Absolutely.
the value of all the time and all the money that and all the headache that we're all gonna spend in
Mhm.
doing that for them? Where's the value? But to your point, really what we wanna be able to do is how do we help them grow and scale from there? How do we help them optimize from there? How do we help them become more efficient?
Right.
Right? If we're especially the bigger the customer, the more efficient they need to be because the more product that's moving and the more services, the more moving parts that they have that they and they're probably the reason they're going into a new solution is because they're stuck. Somewhere in their business, they're stuck and their whole desire and the kind of like the carrot is let's help you get unstuck so you can do better.
Yeah. That was
Not
gonna
so
be
you
my
can do the same.
comment. Yeah.
We're not all spending these dollars. I don't know what the whatever the project is, we're not
Yeah.
spending hundreds of thousands, millions. I mean, I looked at some bigger SAP projects. I just had a friend of mine who's in the government space, and she showed me some big, big government projects. The
Yeah.
software budget alone, Richard, is like $500 million, $863 million just for the software budget.
Yes.
Right, so we're talking and I don't honestly, just respectfully for everybody's listening, you could be spending significantly less than that or more than that, it doesn't matter. We're still spending money, valuable resources that we have in our businesses that we're called to steward really well, and so I love your point about how do we get past that first initial hump, get them to go live so that we can go shine and show them where the value really is, improve tweak, all those kinds of things to be able to say, "How can we do this better?" Do you guys do I don't know the answer to this question up front, so
Mhm.
I'm not, do you guys do more of a prescriptive implementation? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I will. I want to mention something real quick. You started talking about it, and it was something I was going to say is that whole idea of reviewing your current system. Like, if your current system is so good that you're trying to replicate it, why are you leaving?
Right.
Why are you spending a dime with me? Go away, right? That's you're doing the wrong thing. You're moving to a new system for a certain reason. Use it.
Yeah.
So, what we do is I actually take that mindset. I'm going to start this conversation by asking you a question.
Mhm.
What, and I may set you up and you may answer it differently than I'm expecting. So I'll try and lead you where I want you to go a little bit. But in an implementation, there are tasks that we ask the customer to do. And one of the biggest barriers to going live is around a task that we ask our customers to do.
Mhm.
So where do you find that the the hardest part of an implementation ends up being?
Well, for
And
me, it's always the people.
okay.
It's not the tasks, it's always the people.
Yeah.
The task
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, yeah, change management is always very hard. I can talk about that in a second. But just from a pure task perspective, where do you see, and I may just have to,
yeah.
and I'm
Usually
trying to lead it.
getting the data over, that's a biggie. Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
In migration.
Data is always a biggie.
Absolutely.
Everybody's like, "I have to have my 12,000 years of data,
Yes.
and I'm like,
And
"You
by
probably
the way,
better."
they're telling me to put it in this template.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it has to be and it's got yeah,
yes.
and, yes, I just had a friend who was looking through a project and the stats now they're doing a big SAP implementation,
Mhm.
very prescriptive. The stats of the amount of records that the customer has versus what's actually accurate. Where they said, this is real life
Yes.
situation, they said, "I
Yes.
have to bring over for auditing purposes, I have to bring over 7 years worth of data."
Right.
And do you know really, like, I don't know, just shout out to everybody, do you know that if you're in a situation where you have an auditor that says you have to keep your data, it doesn't have to be in your live ERP system. It can be archived somewhere just so somebody can have access to it later. You can
Yes.
do that for
Yes.
also for a very significant much lower cost to
Yes.
be able to maintain it in your old system and then just bring over the core stuff, vendors, your GL accounts, right? All that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
Your payables, your receivables, and your GLs. Let's go.
Yeah. So
That's
we actually take a
awesome. What
little
do you think?
different yeah, we actually take a little different approach. But yes, you're right, data migration is a killer. And asking the customer to do that is probably the wrong person because they're not experts on data migration. They don't do it every day. We do. So let's not ask them to do that maybe. But what we do in our implementations is very different. First of all, I mentioned earlier, like we do completely risk-free, no cost
Mhm.
implementations. Like you go through the entire implementation with us and then decide whether you want to buy the software or not. So what do we do differently? One of the first things we do is we've built out an experience where the customer can connect to their ERP data source and we migrate all of their data over to Acumatica
Mhm.
and start from there. So we bring over their customers, their vendors, their items, their chart of accounts. We bring over historical transactions for APAR, sales, purchasing, GL, inventory. We bring all that data over. We have ways of, we don't put it in the standard tables with the business logic, but we have ways of marrying the historical data up with new transactions. We bring over trial balances. So in theory, you could sign up with us, bring your data over and have your data there for cutover ready to go day one.
Oh, wow.
Now, what do we do with it then? How does that help? Well, what we do at that point is now it becomes a instead of saying, "Oh, here's a blank sheet of paper. How do you want to use this field and this field and this field?" We say, "Here's a working system. Tell us what isn't working for your business and why, and let's go have that conversation instead. Like, why do you want to break this thing that already works end to end?
Yeah.
Right? It's done. You should have a really good reason for changing it."
Yeah. I love that. And I suspect that your customer satisfaction and your revenues really reflect positively in that environment. I don't talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, sales close rates are a lot higher. We close about 60% of our deals. So what's interesting, people will say, well, so how are you doing we still do what I call implementation sessions. We still have the, there's still a prospect at this point, meet with our team, but they're not meeting with a sales team and a pre-sales team. They're working with our consulting team
Right.
or delivery team, and they're doing the implementation before they make a decision. And I'm sure there are people out there cringing saying, "Oh my gosh, my COGS is gonna be way too high and, my margins are gonna go down." Well, I don't have a sales team, so I'm not paying a salesperson. My pre-sales person's job is really not pre-sales, it's education and helping people make the decision to go down this risk-free path.
Yeah.
But then the we think about our delivery team very differently. They are not COGS, they are a fixed overhead expense.
Yeah.
So because of that, it completely changes the way that we go about trying to help people go live.
Mm.
We're moving away from all of these nitty-gritty one-to-one sessions on navigation and AP configuration. Like that stuff can be delivered via videos, and we're also using a product that helps us do click-through demos and walkthroughs of the product. Well, because we've migrated the prospect's data over already, they're going through the product with their data.
Mm.
So those things that are less likely to change, like processing an AP bill or an AR invoice, those just happen and there typically aren't issues with those. So those become more training exercises than implementation exercises because they work. And then we really focus attention on the things that tend to be, I'll call them especially on the small business side of the house, the science projects. It's typically pricing, it's
Yeah.
typically commissions. We're even seeing it in availability calculations. Those are the areas where business owners have created these, I don't even know what to call them, these crazy systems. And what I'd like to tell them is, does your customer care how you're calculating your price? Not a bit. So why are you spending thousands of dollars on a price calculation tool? You can get the same result using the software. We're very close.
Yeah.
And what matters is the end result your customer's getting and how quickly they get it.
Mm.
And it's just changing that mentality. But what happens for us when we treat our delivery team as an expense instead of cost of goods, we're not trying to get revenue for every hour we work. We're trying to be able to deliver more value with the same number of people.
Mm.
So the focus isn't on, oh, go meet with every customer you can as often as you can. It's do the high value things with the customer and let's get the low value things and the repetitive things off your plate and off of their plates too.
Yeah.
They don't need to make all these decisions. What they need to do at the end is say, oh, we're missing this. Okay, great. Here's how we add it. Let's go add it. Everything's great. Keep moving.
Right. It's almost I see like a timeline happening and you've taken UAT and put it all the way up at the front. Is that
Pretty
accurate?
much. That's similar. Yeah, that's part of it. But it's really and this is an evolving thing for us too. So we're rethinking this all the time. But the other part of it too is we've got to remember this is still the sales cycle for us. So we've got to not only get them comfortable with the solution and how their business is going to look in the solution, which we do pretty quickly,
Right.
but it's also showing them that this is going to benefit them.
Mm.
And are they going to get 100% ROI in a year
Yeah.
or 6 months? If they're not, then walk away.
Yeah.
Right? So we've gotta demonstrate that as well. So the focus shifts to that outcome instead of the process.
Mm. I love that. I love what you said around like processes, pricing, whatever, you named a couple of them, and I always
Yes.
think I always kind of think of it like this, like Susie Bell 20 years ago came up with this brilliant process that was so complex. And
Yes.
so many clients, they believe respectfully,
Mhm.
absolutely
Yes.
100% out of respect. They believe and they tell me all the time, Anita, this is my differentiator in the marketplace. And I'm
Right.
like, okay. Are you sure? And that's
Right.
a hard conversation to have because like I said, somewhere back in the day, somebody came up with this very complex way of doing something. So it's typically and typically the person's still there. So it's very emotional for them. It's very personal for them. They want to kind of hold on to it. And you're kind of like, can you loosen that kung fu grip out so that we can and so much has changed in the market. What is interesting to me, Richard, I don't know, maybe if you could speak to this a little bit, is as quickly as the market changes today, like so lightning fast. I mean, I feel like when I entered tech a couple of years ago that I felt like everything moved so fast and about every 6 months everything was updating. But everything moves like lightning speed today. So
Yes.
what I mean by everything, keeping up with your competitors, what's happening with pricing, what's happening with products that we order from overseas, what's happening in our local market, what's happening that somebody can buy my product or my service right here in my own hometown or way across the country or somewhere else in the world because now the competitive landscape have opened up and it's even if you don't feel like you're a global organization, you might be anyway, right? So
Yes.
and then you can lump on like 12,000 more ideas on top of that. And so I would just ask, like, what you guys are doing, does it allow your customers to be more nimble to make these moves faster?
Yes, in a couple of ways. One is just the whole and I always say that the go live date is not the end of our relationship, it's the beginning. Getting through that period quickly so that you have information in front of you, you can start adapting your business quickly, right? Getting on a new ERP system is supposed to provide you with a platform to be nimble and agile and morph to your needs. Well, the beautiful thing about the way we work with our customers is you're not getting charged extra for that, right? It's built into this subscription. And by the way, that subscription isn't 2x or 3x times the software. It's a fraction of it.
Yeah.
But it's really, okay, I need to change. Well, let's go try and figure it out because I don't want to pay a consultant to come in and help me change it. Instead, it's nope, let's get them on the phone right now because I've got this problem. I don't know how to solve it. Let's go solve it.
Yeah.
And we've reduced the friction in that relationship. So customers can be more nimble and they're not afraid to be more nimble and to use us. They're still the person, and I'm in that category. I'm as guilty as anyone where I like to figure things out myself. And I'm probably guilty of the science project as well. But if I've got a relationship where I can ask somebody, I do. And I've gotten better. I'm recovering. So
Don't we know that actually when we collaborate together, we're the most creative? Like we're designed to be like we're all designed to be in relationship with one another, with other people. We're not,
yes.
and for those of us that are a little bit maybe, I don't know, kinda sometimes the more technical you are, the I study a lot of personality profiles. I'm certified in DISC and all this kind of stuff, so I understand that there are personality styles that are more task driven, and there are personality styles that are more people driven, and that's
Mhm.
great, right? Because we 'Cause we're all made perfectly in that way, but if you lean on the more task driven side like I do, right? In my mind, I can think, "Oh, I can just go figure it out on my own. If I just heads down, don't anybody bug me, the doors are closed, don't turn everything off." And yet the reality is that I can solve problems faster when I collaborate. I can solve problems faster when I get up into those higher there's Myron Golden and Eileen Wilder, a couple others teach what's called the 4 levels of value. And in those 4 levels of value, the upper levels are communication and imagination. So when we gather together in imagination and be able to be as creative as we possibly can be, we can actually not only solve complex problems faster together, but we can come up with new solutions that we wouldn't have otherwise. Like this is actually right? Again, I'm gonna use language that makes sense for me. People will say like, "Oh, the universe is coming together." No, actually, this is how God's designed us as individuals to
Yes.
be able to use this genius supercomputer that we have upstairs, and it works better. Now, sometimes you might find that it doesn't feel that way because you're trying to describe what you wanna do and the outcome that you want, and that part of the communication might get a little bit frustrating. But if you were able to put that part aside, I don't know, I just have noticed the more maybe sometimes even the older I get and the less worried I'm at, like, that I have to be the one that's right, can I just say?
Yes, confidence and wisdom, yes.
Then I'm like, "Oh, you know what? It is actually more fun to collaborate and more fun to figure out problems together." And I love your model because I've heard you say this, Richard, a bunch of times. You're reducing friction with your customers, but they're also now not afraid to call you to solve problems because essentially you're indoctrinating them, you're teaching them, you're training them, you're coaching them and saying, "It's okay to pick up the phone and call because
Mhm.
we're gonna be here whether it's all built in, like, it's all built into the relationship that we have, and so, gosh, I just can see what a beautiful model that you have and how, even as we're talking about, I feel like the tension in my own shoulders of thinking about all these projects that I've been involved in that have been high stakes, high tension. It's almost like, "Oh, now we can just pick up the phone and call Richard and his team, and we got it, right? We're gonna
Right.
figure it out together."
And you don't have to worry about getting an invoice when you're done.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
we still have personality styles that are gonna have conflict
yes.
no matter what.
Well, so here's what I think is fascinating.
Tell me.
The collaboration role is starting to be invaded, I guess is a good term, by AI, right? So we it's great to collaborate as humans, but oh, I'm just going to go over to Claude or Chat GPT and see what they say, and that spurs some of that thought process as well. So what we've got to figure out as an organization, the biggest threat to our model is how do we compete with that, right? How do we provide more value than these generic large language models out there?
Yeah.
And there are ways we can absolutely do that because our team has some very specific niche skills. We bring them together in context. So that's the key is really being able to, for us, we try to talk about solutions in the context of the customer's business model. So we have a couple of segments that we like to focus on.
Mhm.
One of the segments that we've always done traditionally really well in both the Business One world and the Acumatica world is B2C e-commerce companies. So when we're talking and when we're training our own models and when we're working with customers, very much this is about how does this work, not just in Acumatica, but in a B2C business model.
Yeah.
Because you can get the generic answer anyway, anywhere. You can't always get the specific answer that you need.
Mhm.
And that's how for us, that's the future of competition with large language models and all information available anywhere on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like in the on the AI topic, when we recognize it as the powerful tool that it really is and put it in that place, in that bucket, it's a powerful tool. Yes, let's use it, but never I don't ever see it as replacing the people component. of being able to understand a little bit more, have the experience of what it's like. This, like you mentioned, e-commerce business. I used to have an e-commerce business, so I understand this. This is like near and dear to my heart. So, being able to solve problems in a manner that's personal to me.
Yes.
AI is not always gonna be able to do that. It might be able to give me a vanilla answer, and frankly, it might be able to give me a great vanilla answer,
Mhm.
and we use it in our business, but there are times when I have to look at my trained custom AI, right? At whether it's the trained
Mhm.
custom GPTs and agents, all the stuff that we've created to be able to create automated sales systems in our business, and I still have to go back and tell myself and my team, like, it's not perfect.
Right.
It's not perfect, right? And so we have to challenge that dependency, I think, the over dependency of, and then we have to, as humans, we have to be able to look at it and say, is that a great idea or is it not a great idea? I mean, I remember when my daughter was looking at an option while she was in high school, she could go to college for free. And I would tell her, right, a lot of states have this. And I said, honey,
Yes.
stuff in life, things might be a great idea, but if it's not a great idea for you,
Right.
then it's not a great idea. Like,
Exactly.
just make, 'cause she's like, Mom, I got to do this. I got to done. I was like, honey, relax.
Yes.
Not every great idea for every person has to be like right here, right now. You have to do it this way. And I watched, she was a teenager. I watched like, as like the tension was building up and the tears were building in her eye, I watched her just relax and be like, wait a minute. It's okay if I don't do this thing that everybody's
Yeah.
telling me I have to do and is a great idea. Same
Yeah.
with AI. Like it might come up with some great ideas, but if it's not a great idea for you or your business, then no problem. You just let it
Yes.
go, right?
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we could go
Well,
down a
and
rabbit hole in that conversation.
well, yeah, and I love the AI world. The thing I neglected to say is I spent 5 years in graduate school studying artificial intelligence and neural networks back in the '90s, so but the thing we don't ever hear about is, yes, you get answers out of any AI model. What you don't get is, how confident are we in the answer?
Mm,
How close am I to the training data that was used? How am I extrapolating or am I interpolating? So if I'm interpolating, then my answer is gonna be better, but I could still be far from the far from the correct answer because there's error at all these training data points.
yeah,
If I'm extrapolating, all bets are off. Like
yeah,
neural network models flatten out. They do not extrapolate at all. And that's where humans come in because being able to synthesize ideas from disparate places where there hasn't been a correlation before, some people have really good skills to do that and can see how you can bring together things from just various disciplines. AI is not doing that because it's not trained to do that.
right.
It's that's outside the realm of its capabilities.
Yeah. I've been studying up on some of the higher end SAP products and looking at AI, the AI models inside their products. And I'm sure this is true kind of across the board where you could ask AI across the entire ERP system to answer a question for you, solve a problem for you, but even based on the user rights, do you have access to the data? So
Right.
think of it this way, if I'm a lower level employee instead of a president level employee who has, let's say that person has access to everything. So I ask AI a question, but I don't actually have the rights to get all the data. I don't have rights I better not have rights to, like, HR data and all, right, all the stuff, all the
Right.
financials, all the things, let's just pretend and say as an AP clerk. So then, yes, an answer is gonna come back, but then the challenge in this world right now as it relates to AI is like, well, then how do you, to your point, how do you validate that data? How do you know that it's accurate? How do we make decisions based on that? And we need the human component. We need to gather together to solve some of these problems together. So I kind of think that's actually how we started on this
Yes.
part of the conversation is gathering together to solve problems, right? 'Cause
Yes,
we both
absolutely.
openly acknowledge like, well, I kind of think I'm pretty good to solve it all on my own.
Of course.
Sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's true, but then sometimes it is actually better that we bring our collective minds together and say, how can we think differently? How can we think better? I mean, we all have limiting beliefs. We all have a limit to where, based on our own experience, I don't care where your limiting beliefs come wherever your ceiling is, but I know when I talk to you, Richard, or any other person on the planet, then you help me see beyond those limiting beliefs that I didn't like, I don't know what I don't know until we have this conversation. All of a sudden, I find out I never knew that you studied machine language for 5 years in graduate school, and right? And so that part in particular, that's actually where I've learned to really love and embrace the part of the collaboration, knowing and admitting that I don't know everything, and I could actually have a lot of fun in that environment, where
Yeah.
it is just based on my I'm just wow, full disclosure, like, based on my own insecurities as a younger person and how wanting and needing everything to be right. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so I don't
For
know.
me, it was the arrogance of youth. I knew everything when I was 25. Now I know nothing and I'm 55 or
Totally
50.
cool with it.
Yeah, right. And yeah, well, and that's interesting because that drives our hiring decisions too in our company. We don't hire inside the ERP industry anymore.
Oh,
I am hiring people from gaming and B2C consumer experiences because that's what we're trying to create.
yeah,
We're trying to move away from this whole enterprise, don't do it the way it's always been for 40 years.
yeah,
We're trying to think differently. So we're bringing in people that have a completely different perspective. And sometimes I look at ERP and say, what the heck did I get myself into?
right.
This is crazy. But they have a very different perspective on how we can go to market with our customers and the things we can be doing to not only serve individual customers better, but to do things at scale.
Yeah. I love that. I love because the perspective or the mindset that you come at a problem solving or a challenge, like, I think it's so important that we kinda break out of that old mold. I talked to I actually had a chance in the same week, I had a chance to talk to 2 different consultants on 2 different topics, and one guy was like, "Anita, the market is booming, there's so much business around, like, we can't there's so much like, there's, like, the abundance mindset that there's more than enough for you, more than enough for me, more than enough for him, more
Yes.
than enough to go around," and I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm fighting, like, there's
Yeah.
never been a better time, it's so great, isn't it?" And then I
Yes.
talked to another guy earlier that week, and Richard, this poor guy was like, "Nope." There's not enough to go around. I came from another country. I can't like, just on and on and on about how like, this lack mindset, and I was kind of like, "Wow, this is so interesting to have kind of the same framework of a conversation." I was doing some research calls on an offer that we have in our business, and I wanted to get some market feedback, and to hear one guy be like, "That's amazing, Anita. Go for it. That's awesome. Yes, it's gonna be," and another guy be like, "Nope. There's not enough to go around. As a matter of fact, I don't even, like, I'm thinking of all his thoughts in my head and thinking of the
Yeah.
conversation, but it was just one blockade after another that just kinda and I was like,
Yes.
"Whoa, what about this?" Well, like, the coach in me, like, started to spring up, like, "What about this? Can you do this? Can you do that?" And he was like, "Nope." I mean, everything that we talked about was like, "No, negative Nelly, negative Nelly, negative Ne," over and over and over again, and I thought he's like, "I honestly, I came to America thinking it would be better, but I think I'm gonna go back to my home country," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Wow." I don't think I've ever heard that from an immigrant ever in my entire life. It was just fascinating to me. So back to your point of being able to hire other folks from different industries, I love that. I love that you're so that the perspective is different, the viewpoint is different, and then it opens up our minds. I'm filling in your words so you can correct
Yes.
like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? You're then the perspective and the problem solving is completely different, so you can come at problems a little bit differently and see how to serve people better. Like, that's so exciting.
Yeah. We have ERP expertise in the room, but
Yes.
that's just a tool to get to the answer. It's not the answer.
Yeah.
How do we get to the answer we need that's customer focused and helps us scale? And I mentioned at the beginning that we're trying to run this business as a software as a service business, so it's subscription only. Well, our metrics are very different, and so we've got to think differently. And it's hard to get consultants to think like a software as a service company. And so bringing in people that have more of that mindset helps too, because it used to be back in the old days in marketing, we'd say, oh, yeah, somebody needs to hear your message 7 times before they finally hear it. last I heard, it's up to like 23 times now because there's so much information out there.
So much.
They've got to hear it 23 times. That applies to our internal people as well. So it's almost on a weekly basis. Hey, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. This is what the outcome's supposed to be. This is how we get there.
Yeah.
And we've been in this business model now for almost a year and a half. It's starting to click with some people.
Okay.
Um, it's a little harder for the ones who've been in this industry longer.
Mm,
The ones that have less experience as consultants or in the industry, it just, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense because that's what they've grown up with.
I love that. I love that. This is my mind is being blown right now and in the best possible way, Richard. This is probably the best conversation I've had around this topic, maybe
Good.
ever. Yeah, it's really fascinating. I love what you're doing. Um, is there anything else that you want to talk about why we're on the show and why you have this platform right now?
I have so many things. How many days do you have? Um, we've hit a lot of things. I think I think the way I know we were introduced through a mutual friend,
Uh-huh.
but it was during a time when I was publishing a series of articles on LinkedIn about 15 ways the ERP industry is broken. I think we've hit lots of them. I think, um, but yeah, I've been an observer and a participant in this industry since the early 90s, and it's just you see the evolution happening, but right now there's a revolution happening. There are companies out there that are coming to market who that were ERP systems that were built in 18 months using AI,
Mhm.
and they're thinking very differently.
Mhm.
ERP is becoming more like CRM. What
Mhm.
Salesforce did with cloud back in the late 90s is happening to ERP with AI and artificial and neural networks and large language models now.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is there's another iteration out there called composable ERP, which is, oh, you could just go into a prompt and have a ERP system built for you on the fly. It fits your business perfectly. And it feels to me like that's a bridge too far. And the reason I say that is,
Little nervous.
yeah, no, the reason I say that is as a the reason businesses are successful with ERP systems is because of the domain knowledge that consultants bring to them to open their eyes to things they don't know they can do.
Yeah.
And so to have a business owner sit down with a prompt and to build an ERP system is going to, it's like doing a homegrown system. You're still going to be limited by your knowledge instead of the knowledge of the people who have seen lots of other customers and lots of other business models and lots of other ways of doing things and who can piece together information that you don't have the context to handle. So I don't some people see that as a threat. I see it as being very limited in its scope and application.
Mm, I love that. It's so funny, Richard. I had back in the day, my team, I ran professional services inside of SAP, and our team was responsible for adding like 10,000 net new customers in the US alone. So
Mhm.
when you're talking, this is kind of what's going through my mind. Because a friend of mine said this. I was just describing some of my background, and we were just having a chat, and she's like, "Anita, you not only have a depth about your experience, but you have a breadth of your experience because you've been across all these industries and in all these deep projects." She's like, "That's actually really unique because most people have one or the other, right? They have an industry vertical that they're very passionate about, very intimately know everything about that. I don't know, let's say food processing. Okay. So they know everything about that, wholesale manufacturing, whatever it is in the industry vertical. But then when you do like what we did as a team and we traveled all across the United States, we went to Canada, we had our hands, me and my team had our hands in all these different projects, all these different businesses, all these different channel partners, every industry across the way. And when she said that, I was kind of like, "Wait a minute, what did you just say?" Like, I never thought of it that way. She was like so so to your point of being able to go to just simply a prompt, if I didn't have the depth this way and the breadth this way, that I wouldn't know the right questions to ask. I wouldn't know how to think outside of my own if I hadn't had the experience of being able to do, hundreds of projects around escalations and have don't been doing these for so many years, right? the value that we can bring to the table by even creating systems, developing processes, whole ERP systems, whatever it looks like, I love what you said, Richard, because that was really genius to and, just to be able to acknowledge, like, we kinda don't know what we don't know, to be able to ask the right prompts, ask the right questions, and isn't that the big deal, like, in AI today, is that everybody's saying, like, "Well, if you don't know how to warm it up, if you don't know the prompts," right, there's lots of different ways that we can say that, but the
Yes.
same thing on our businesses, like, if I don't know the right questions to ask, and I don't go find help by either by lots all the different ways that we can find information, looking it up, collaborating with people, reading from experts, all this kind of stuff. Oh gosh, I just think it's almost like we don't even know that I feel for those people because I feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot without even really understanding what's going on because they just don't know what they don't know. Like I don't
Well, so you brought up an interesting comment. You said something about warming up the system. I see composable ERP that way as well. Like there are these models are going to be built around how to deploy an ERP system, but that may not be the right answer to the problem. So, all right, I'm going to get techie on you
Yeah,
in the AI world for about 30 seconds here. The way you train a neural network is you try and reduce the errors between the training data and the actual data and use a least squares analysis. Well, guess what? You can't drive everything to zero. And what happens is if you picture the potential answers, the places your neural network can go as an egg carton, if you're in 2 dimensions, you start down one of the little egg cups. It's really hard to get back out. That's what they mean by warming up. It puts you into a place to start.
Mhm.
Well, if you're using AI and building these composable ERP systems, you're in this cup and you're not going to get out of this cup. And if the right answer is not in that cup, you're hurting yourself.
Wow.
You're not giving yourself the opportunity to expand your business or think about your business the way that you need to in order to grow and compete in the modern world.
Yeah. That's oh my gosh. I feel like you, like, we could go on and talk for, like, the next 3 hours.
Yeah,
Okay, so let me kinda, like I'm gonna, gather the horses a little bit,
sure. Absolutely.
um, which is awesome. I'm honestly, this has been really genuinely thank you so much for being here because this has been probably one of the best conversations I've had in on this space in a while. This is really fabulous.
My
But
pleasure. This has been great. Yeah.
how would you, um how would you coach somebody who's listening today who is maybe we can take it from 2 different perspectives.
Okay.
If you're a customer that needs a new solution, and then if you're a consultant and you need to maybe level up your skill set because the market is changing. We have these new products coming to market, things are happening, they're moving quickly. Like, is it okay if we kind of break down those 2 groups of people and how can we serve them best to help them we don't need to map out the next 20-year plan, but how could they take the next step that they could implement right now today?
Yes. I think on the customer side, we started touching on it a bit. One thing is don't try and do what you've always done, right? You're not moving to a new system to replicate the old one. But the thing that as a customer you need to understand is most of the things you're doing are not competitive differentiators and the software is probably only 30% of the solution that you're looking for. The rest is the knowledge that comes from the people who are helping you bring that to life and the change management, everything that goes around getting people to the new place, right? The software is a tool. I the way I position this to my team is I say, customers don't go to, you know, if customers outgrow their home or want to move, they don't go to Home Depot looking at saws. They go looking at houses. They don't care what tools were used to build it. They
Yeah,
want that outcome. They want the dream.
right.
The dream isn't the saw. It's not the hammer. It's not the nails. It's the house.
Yeah.
Give people the house. Help them understand what that house can look like and how they can get to that. And so it's getting out of this mindset of the tool is so important. And you've probably seen hundreds of RFPs. I've seen hundreds of RFPs, and there are these laundry list of questions with really no emphasis on these are the important things, and these are the things that would be nice. And
Yeah.
there's a little bit of that, but they always neglect the not just the not just the consultants or the partner you'll be using, but the relationship you're going to have long term and the business model of that partner.
Yeah.
And those are probably even more critical than the software because these days don't listen to Acumatica, don't listen to SAP, but you guys are kind of becoming commodities,
Yeah.
right? You all do roughly the same things. Some are well suited for some verticals that others aren't, but by and large, for 80% of the customers, it doesn't matter which platform you pick.
Yeah.
What really matters, what's going to make the biggest difference in your life is the partner you select to help you on your journey.
That's so
So
good. I
from a customer standpoint, that's my advice. And this coming from a partner that also sells a specific product. So, um, on the consultant side, and I've thought about this because I came from this world. How do you level up?
Mm,
And for me, it's what I'm always looking for is how do we deliver more value
mm.
for the same amount of capacity, right? How can I take my 20-person team and deliver 40% more value next year
Oh, wow.
and keep that same team deliver another 40% the next year?
Yeah.
Well, you do it by taking those simple, repetitive things off your plate and spending time on the high value things with the customers, the things that are more personal, things that you have to be involved with,
Yeah.
right? Anybody can be good at doing a navigation demo, or anybody can be good at walking somebody through the sales order process.
Sure.
Make a video of that, send that out,
Yeah.
right? That doesn't change much. Oh, we're going to go through this sales order process. Here's a decision you need to make. Here are your three choices. This is what they mean. If you have questions, let's talk about that. That's a high value conversation
Yeah.
after the video. Like, oh yeah, here's the questions I have, or intercompany. That's a great. Where you provide the most value is when you're really focused on those business outcomes. So figure out how to get yourself out of the day-to-day, mundane, repetitive commodity stuff
Mhm.
and get yourself into this mindset of helping customers achieve those big things that help their company grow, the differentiators.
I love that. I love that. I also think, like, I'll add to that, financially, when we're moving to this model of outcome-based results that we can help our clients
Mhm.
get, then we're also moving away from trading all of your time for a dollar, right?
Yes.
And you're actually moving we don't do that at all. I mean, sorry. So being able to, move more towards, a packaged solution that says, "I'm gonna help you get this outcome. We're gonna deliver this result." You don't really like, I tell my customers all the "You don't care how long it takes me to get to the result. You really don't. You're paying me for the outcome." And so then how do we do that? How do we position ourselves in the market to be able to do that? I talk to a lotta consultants, and it kinda for some of them, it kinda freaks them out because 'cause they're like, "Wait a minute, here's my hourly rate, what do you
Yeah.
mean? What?" You'll end up I will say this from experience, both for me and my clients, you'll end up making more money and be more profitable, in your business by switching to some of these models that Richard and I are talking about today because you'll move away from, that again, that it's that time for money trap that we get caught in where you are commoditizing all of your time, and then everybody's right, think of it this way, is that instead of comparing yourself to every other SAP or Acumatica or Sage or any other product consultant that's out there based on their hourly rate, you
Mhm.
were communicating the value that you get for their customer. That's a differentiator in and of itself, right? There's only probably about 3% of the market that's communicating that way. And the other thing that it does is it draws in what I find is that it draws in our right fit clients. So for the people that are price shopping, I'm like, "Oh, I'm not your girl."
Mhm.
Right? I'm not your person, that's great. There's lots and lots of people that are out there that can take care of you that way. We do not operate that way in our business. You don't either, right? And so it actually removes the people that I wouldn't work with anyway
Yes. Have the
because they're
courage to say
not
no. Yeah.
they're not a good fit, and which is great.
Yes.
Like, I just feel like then the pressure of I have to serve everybody goes away entirely, and I'm like, "Nope." Of the addressable market, do you know the addressable market in the space that we're talking about? It's something like $7.25 trillion in the next
Mhm.
couple of years. I mean,
Right.
it's really gigantic, and so, okay,
Take a
great.
piece.
But I just want my slice. I'm
Right.
assuming you just
Yeah.
want your slice,
I just want a little of the frosting off the top. I don't need the whole cake.
right? Right? I don't need all of that, right? Nobody needs all of that, and it's okay if you want it, by the way. That's I'm actually good with that too. Um, but, yeah, just I hear what we're saying here and that the conversation that Richard and I are having today, being able to shift these perspectives in your own life and in your own business, they'll change your life. It'll change your family life. It'll change your own life. It'll change your mental health. It'll change your outcomes. It'll change your satisfaction with your clients. You as a client, it'll change your satisfaction. Richard, let's kind of wrap this up and say, how can people learn more about you? How can they figure out? We'll be sure and put all of Richard's information in the show notes by all means. But like, what would be the next step? If somebody's heard this episode and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to talk to this guy.
Um, Happy to have people email me directly. Our website is an easy way to get in touch with me as well. So that's stellar1.io. It's a really easy way to get connected to our company. And if you say, if you go to our contact us page and say you heard me, I'll absolutely reach out to you.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what's the easiest way to provide my email address? Like I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time about any subject.
Yeah. Awesome, awesome. Okay, we'll put your stuff in the show notes so that everybody has the exact
Yeah.
details of your website and your email. Richard, thank you so much for what you're doing. I really wanna honor you and just I appreciate you being here today, but what you're doing in the market and the way that you're serving both your customers and your internal staff, it's different, and I would really just wanna acknowledge that, and I appreciate you not only being on the podcast today, but getting to know one another a little bit better and you sharing your story. Like what you're doing is making a difference in the lives of your customers and then in your lives on the back end. And I love that. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the passion you have around the subscription model and the SaaS model. Like, thank you so much because it's really, I can tell already, it's really making a difference in the lives of those that you serve.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It's been an honor to be here, and I've had a great time this afternoon. It's been awesome. I'd love to keep the conversation going as well, and I'm sure we've got more we can talk about. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So thank you for the opportunity.
You bet. You bet. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll see you on the next episode.